when we talk about this domestic violence, we should also think from another perspective, that how a woman is beaten black and blue is not a true picture to the society. There is other aspect. Yes, there are a lot of genuine cases also. That's why the law is there. Even the constitutionality of the law is being challenged, but upheld by the Honorable Supreme Court. So the idea of the domestic violence as well as the 498A cases, we have to look from both the aspects. Law is there to tackle genuine cases, but not the false cases. So there has to be mechanism, especially after post-COVID time. Now is the perfect time to implement the recommendation of the Law Commission to check on these misuse of these laws, which is quite rampant from the data only.
Ni-
Yes.
Nitish sir, actually, I think that's a very interesting point you have made. That is by referring to the National Crime Records Bureau data,
Yes.
and
Yes.
yes, and all yes, and we have seen this in cases, in false cases being foisted
Yes.
upon the side of the boy and the boy's family sometimes,
Yes.
and advantage of law is being taken. But again, just out of a very genuine concern, which I think every citizen may have, that when there is a spike in so many, you know, and this is also on record, that there have been sudden sharp increase in the number of, you know, the calls being done, and we also know that there is a big bit of violence. How do we legally try to really appreciate this picture? I know it's a tough question to really answer at this stage, but I believe as you will take up some judgments, that will be clear.
Rightly questioned, and I was coming to this only.
Right,
I
sir.
was coming to some of the legislation and the judicial precedents which has
Great,
been
sir. Great.
passed in the recent times. The first judgment which came to address this aspect was Sushil Kumar Sharma versus Union of India in 2005, way back
Right.
in 2000. The Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, termed the 498A section as legal terrorism, basically taking cognizance of the false cases which are being filed by the other gender. And the next judgment is Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar. In my case, what happened was, it was way back in one of my cases. It was of 2003. The wife filed a complaint over a property dispute. An entire family was arrested the way back in 2003. That time there was no safeguards. Entire family
Right.
used to get arrested on a one single complaint. And what happened after 16 years, when I got this case in 2016-17, Honorable Supreme Court acquitted him from all the charges, and he was a free man. He retired from his job by then, and you know what miscarriage of justice has taken place. He has gone to the jail. He has fought for 16 years, and this is what is happening in the society until there is an intervention from the Honorable Supreme Court in Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, where the Honorable Supreme Court has declared that the IO has to give 41A notice to the accused person before arresting him. So arresting
Right,
is
sir.
not automatic in these cases. So this is a good safeguard the Honorable Supreme Court has taken. Then again, one judgment came recently in Rajesh Sharma versus State of UP. What happened in this judgment? The Supreme Court moved ahead with the idea of putting guidelines regarding the misuse of the 498A case. What happened in this judgment? The legal service committees were there for counseling purposes, because these cases can be solved through counseling. The Supreme Court believed in that. Now, but the problem is this, that this is an act of legislature, because this is a domain of legislature issuing guidelines, and everything is the act of the legislature. The
Right.
people who are sitting in the parliament have to create the guidelines to stop the misuse of the law. Just because the law is getting misused, it doesn't mean that it is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court cannot struck this laws whether they are being misused or not. Yes, there can be guidelines. For that, the executive can pass certain orders. After that judgment, the judgment was overruled by the Social Action Forum versus Union of India. The judgment got overruled in the next case. So the legal service authorities were all gone. So this is all about the legal precedents which had taken place in the matrimonial cases, and these are all the judgments which are taken in the place. Now, if we say that there will be a rise in the domestic violence case or the matrimonial case, we also say that there will be a rise in the false cases also. So there are two aspects. One is the genuine case. For that, the law is there. There will be rise in the false case. Sunilji, can you hear me? Hello. So there will be the rise in both the aspects. So there are two aspects which are important in this case. So next we come to the domestic violence case and the 498A case, in which what happens is that the other gender implicate all the members of the family. Now they have to face trial, years are lost, and this trend will increase post COVID scenario more and more, because the house is now the breeding ground for the domestic violence. They will move out of the house. They will file a full blown legal battle, and then what will happen is they will implicate all the family members of the all the family members of the family all the family members basically. So to stop that, there is a provision under section 482 CRPC, which is now known as quashing. So more and more cases will now be filed under section 482, so that the innocent relatives of the husband can get out of this thing. So 482 CRPC will be more used after post-COVID scenario, and High Court will be more ordering judgments on this. Another aspect is the domestic violence case. Also, there is a tendency to implicate the relatives of the husband. So basically, what will happen is that there is array of respondents in a domestic violence complaint, and they are implicated in the false case. So there is one section in Domestic Violence Act, which is section 2S, which calls about the shared household. There's a judgment on this, Azad Singh Dhangas versus Suman Kumari, on domestic violence quashing.
I think
yes.
Banka sir, sorry to interrupt you, but I think we have a very sort of a mixed audience comprising of professionals as well as students. But I think it would be great if you could just throw a bit of the light on the shared household aspects from the perspective of DV Act, and then we can go to the case.
Sure. So the shared household thing, what I'm talking about is that the members of the family should live in a same household too, so that the complaint under section 12 of the Domestic Violence Act is there. So if you want to file a complaint against the relatives of the husband, like mother, brother, or father, they should be in the same household. Sometimes what happens is, out of frustration, these complaints are filed against the far off relatives. Suppose brother who is studying in Bangalore, a complaint is filed against him in Jaipur. So that complaint can be quashed using the judgment which I had mentioned. And the shared household thing, if they have never stayed together in a house, that can be quashed. Right? So this is about the domestic violence case, how the quashing will take place. And if I see that there is a rise in the cases after post-COVID scenario, because our house is now a breeding ground for all these small arguments can turn into good legal battles, and there can be a civil remedy to that. But criminal remedies are being used in this, despite there are available civil remedy of divorce. Suppose they can file for divorce, but criminal remedies are being used. The section under section 12 of Domestic Violence Act. Domestic Violence Act provides bouquet of rights. It offers protection It offers residence rights. It offers,
I think that's a very interesting term you use, sir.
yes,
There, bouquet of rights. I think
yes,
so.
yes.
Yes, yes, that's a very interesting observation.
So residence rights is there, maintenance rights is there. Then you have custody rights there. Interim orders you can get under the Domestic Violence Act. So one Domestic Violence Act has 5, 6 types of rights which can be misused also and can be used for the purposes. Suppose there is a property of husband. Wife can have a residence right on that property. For property disputes also, the Domestic Violence Act can be misused. There is maybe no dispute in the house, just to get property, to grab property. These acts are being misused. We see a high trend after post lockdown period. Even during the lockdown, I received lots of complaints from the husband side, as well as I have received the genuine complaint from the wife side to help them. We see cases on the both sides. Both sides will get a good influx of complaints, and after there is a genuine complaints also, there will be false complaint also. Now, only difference between a genuine and the false complaint is the evidence. What evidence wife has? At least you should be satisfied. Being a legal professional, you should be satisfied that a wife who comes with a case should have at least a minimum evidence, so that you can stand in the court and say that yes, this woman has suffered. If there is no medical, if she claims that there is injury, physical injury, then if there is no medical, how will you prove the case? Still cases are being filed in bundles like these.
Right,
So
right,
there is a responsibility of the advocates also to guide their client for a better remedy, rather than opting for criminal remedy. They can go for a civil remedy. There are civil remedies which are available. False complaint should not be encouraged, especially after post-COVID scenario when our resources are very strained, because lots of cases will now get listed. Courts are not functioning properly.
right, sir. Sir, I think that's a very interesting sort of a caution you are giving to everyone, that we'll have to take care that
Yes.
maybe there is a flood of petitions. And, I think, would you also say that sometimes, this pandemic scenario also may be seen as an opportunity also for many to not only settle scores. It could be either way. It could be either way. I'm not saying it is by husband or it is by wife, but also there is a more likelihood for sort of a, you can say, the more number of cases are likely to come. And do you see that some kind of a special structure and the management with the courts need to devise? Because as you have already shared, that the online appearances and the online filing, etc., may also be now the order of the day with the passage of the time. But then when there is a flood of cases, and especially when you're talking about homes, and we know that if there is a economic problem, then it may be handled over a period of time. If there is a law and order situation, extra force may be called by the executive, and it may be handled over a period of time. But then when the homes are unquiet, there is no peace inside the homes in the country, then that's a very disturbing reality.
Right. So what will happen is, the problem is, today only I have faced this virtual situation which happened today in Supreme Court with me. My client had instructed me to go for a mediation, because mediation
Right.
is the only way out of court settlement which can happen. And today only she asked me that you should try for a mediation in Supreme Court, and so that the dispute may get settled in the Supreme Court. She believed that the Supreme Court mediators are more experienced. That's why she but when I saw today, I saw many cases. So suppose I saw 2, 3 cases at least, where parties were asking for mediation, online mediation they were asking, because the physical access of the Supreme Court is not there.
Not
It is
there.
now bad. Maybe for 3, 4 months it will not be there. So many of the litigants asked that let there be an online mediation, because they see an opportunity that to ask for mediation and to settle the to settle the matter through mediation. But the physical mediation cannot happen. Only online mediation can offer. So one of the parties asked for the online mediation today. The
Right.
judge rejected that we don't have anything even in Supreme Court to handle online mediation. How they can do online mediation? So there's very practical difficulties with the virtual hearings also. So by that experience, I didn't ask for in my case, and eventually the case was decided finally through virtual hearings. But
Right.
mediation could not happen in such scenario. I've seen this in the virtual hearing. Parties do ask for mediation, but in virtual scenario, how you will implement mediation? That's a question. That's a big question these days.
That's a big question. Yes, we can thank you for bringing that really input directly from the rooms of the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and we can see that yes, that's a real problem, because
Yes.
mediation is something when we teach in the law school, we say it is something where you sit across the table, and there is a more of the effort is to understand the core issues and trying to resolve it in a stepwise manner. So just quick two questions our viewers are asking us here. So I think we can just quickly take up two questions and then proceed.
Right.
Mr. Nawab Khan is sir asking that, sir, can you please repeat the name of the case that set the precedent for domestic violence in the shared household?
Yeah, this case is Azad Singh Dhangas versus Suman Kumari.
Nawab sir, you may take note.
You can Google it, you will get it. Azad Singh Dhangas versus Suman Kumari.
So if I may repeat, Azad Singh Dhangas versus Suman Kumari. This is which year, sir?
This is available in Punjab. This is a Punjab Haryana High Court judgment. So you can just Google it and you will find on the top.
Nawabji, you will be able to get this. Then there's another question by Advocate Pawanpreet Singh. He's saying, sir, post-lockdown, how valid would be a prayer for additional maintenance areas apart from ordinary areas from husband, particularly for COVID-19 duration?
Right.
Can there be possible misuse of same as well?
Right. So I was coming to this only. This 125 CRPC I'm covering now. I've covered 498A and DV. Now I will cover this 125 CRPC. Now what will happen now after lockdown? All the husbands will now be stating they are unemployed and they have no salary, no income. So kindly the court, they will ask the court, kindly give me some time or kindly reduce the maintenance amount. So they will file all sorts of applications now in court post-COVID scenario to say that during the lockdown, actually a lot of people will lose job. Yes, that is the reason why the economic abuse, which is part of the domestic violence, will happen. And the post-COVID scenario, everyone say that we don't have jobs. I cannot pay the wife. I cannot, I cannot reduce my maintenance amount. I cannot pay the arrears. These type of prayers will be there in the courts. Now, I have not seen any single judgment where the court has reduced the maintenance. I have never seen a judgment, except from the fact that the husband has found that the wife was working, except that scenario. I've never seen that due to job loss, the courts have given some relief to the husband. Now, after this special circumstances, there is a development which can happen toward in this area of law, that regarding the enhancement or the decrease of the maintenance. The courts will have to see now after considering this COVID scenario.
So, sir, can we extrapolate like the force majeure argument? Though that is primarily the domain of commercial law or contract law, but can that be extrapolated and by the courts to have a better understanding that if we can give force and due weightage to force majeure clause, which basically imply that the obligation is either postponed, right, due to an intervening impossibility of performance, which is there is no human agency involved. So if it is causing a lack of jobs, if the people are being laid off, and then obviously the people, there might be many of the parties who are unable to discharge their legal obligations in that sense. So will that have a bearing also on family law cases?
Sunil ji, force majeure clause doesn't apply to the matrimonial proceedings.
Yes, that it doesn't. It doesn't. But I was
apply.
just saying that will that can
See,
that argument be have
yes.
any weight?
See, the thing is this: moment you go to the court, you say you are unemployed. What the judge says? Judge says that you are liable to maintain your wife and children even if you are unemployed. You
that
can't.
You do by hard labor you have to maintain.
You have to beg, borrow, steal, or whatever.
Beg, borrow, steal.
There is one judgment which says that you can't beg, husband can't beg, borrow, steal. That judgment is again in the favor of women only. If we see that the facts and the true picture, but the law is that it's a socio-legal responsibility. That's why force majeure thing cannot be applied here, and I don't think the courts will give relief to the husbands after post COVID thing. Although they will not enhance the maintenance. That is a good part on the part. If due to expenses increase, they will not enhance the maintenance. They will say that yes, there is a scenario husband will face problems in maintaining the wife, so we are not increasing, but whatever the maintenance has been fixed, you have to pay. Whatever the arrears, you have to pay. So there will be, I don't think there will be a relief in that after post-COVID thing.
Right. Pankaj sir, I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes. Sir, your mic is on. You may please go ahead.
सर मेरा एक बड़ा सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है, रादर आई एम अ विक्टिम आल्सो, सो मेरा दोनों तरीके से एकेडमिक भी उस तरीके से आफ्टर मैरिज ऑफ 9 years my wife filed a maintenance case. There's no divorce case, no domestic violence case, no 498 case. तो मैं जानना चाहता हूँ आफ्टर 21 years of marriage and 14 years of separation मेंटेनेंस का केस चल रहा, कोई केस हम दोनों ने नहीं किया, क्या वो अब मेरे ऊपर 498 डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस का केस कर सकती है?
See, the thing is, idea is that there is a limitation period of domestic violence. Obviously, 21 years is quite a long time when you're not. I don't think she can, or if she do, you can go for quashing.
और 498 का सर?
सर केस कर सकते हैं, बट यू कैन गो फॉर क्वैशिंग इफ शी डज.
अच्छा, वो करती है तो क्या सर मैं एलिजिबल हो जाता हूँ डाइवोर्स केस लेने के लिए, क्योंकि 2007 से वो नौकरी करने के लिए गई थी और आज वो वापस नहीं आई?
संजय जी, मैं ये लीगल कंसल्टेशन आप जो है बाद में मेरे से
राइट संजय जी
पूछना चाहता हूँ, I'm your follower on the YouTube also, और ये
just message me your queries, I will answer.
Okay, सर एक सिंपल क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है, it is not a high time.
Let us constrain this for only this purpose only. So
okay, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you for your question. We don't want to discourage you, but only a small request. That queries which are specifically case oriented, like individual case oriented, they may be addressed to the speaker, and speaker is very much open to welcome those queries after the session.
Also, I can appreciate he's a lawyer also.
Right. After the session, he will be more than happy to entertain those queries. But I think right now there is an explanation on the part of like the guest speaker is already going to take up more discussion on maintenance. So I think we may allow him to continue. Sir, please.
Interesting discussion going on. Thank you.
So in maintenance cases, what we see is that there is a suppression of income from both sides, wife and the husband. Now, wife also may be working, she can suppress that she's not working, and husband has to, on the other hand, has to find out whether their wife is working or not to contest this type of case, or else the case will be decided in the favor of wife. So here there are some section 91, which can be useful to you to extract documents if you know that where she is working. You can call the HR and the salary slip and everything. So these cases will also increase. The economic abuse is increasing. The husband will be losing jobs. So the thing is this: the maintenance cases will increase because of this. The economic abuse to the wife will increase. This is all holistic. I have discussed the three aspects: the domestic violence 498A and the 155, and the trend which will we see in the future. It will be bad. for both the parties. What I believe.
Right, sir. So we can see that more of the litigation happening in the times to come.
Right.
Right. So there's another query which has been asked here by Shri Sandesh. He says, what should be the areas need to looked into for effective cross-examination in DV cases?
See, in DV cases, the effective cross-examination can take place. Suppose this is a very factual question. It depends upon the facts of the case.
Facts of the case, right?
Whether if wife is claiming that she has been hurt by the husband, then whether she has a medical, she has an independent eyewitness or not, these facts changes from case to case basis. You can see my videos. I've made lot of videos on cross examination. Although on DV I've never made, so I will make a video on this in near future.
Right, sir. So there's one more query coming by Pritika Sharma. She wants to know, can a wife summon office colleague of his husband under DV Act? Is it not the duty of the magistrate of who read the complaint before issuing the summon? What action can be taken against the magistrate if the above case holds true?
See, the thing is this, that magistrate, normally the DV case is a quasi-criminal as well as a civil procedure. So basically, it's a complaint case. Complaint case is, in this case, you cannot summon the witnesses through court. You have to bring your own witnesses. In 490 case, the scenario is different. In that, that is a state case, and there the order of magistrate is there to summon those witnesses. So you have to prove your case on your own. You cannot rely on the court to prove this, because it's a complaint case. So I don't think the witness can be called by the magistrate in these cases.
Right. So I think that answers your question. Then we have a query from Shri Sanjay Singh. He says, what is your view? I think something a little bit a sort of interesting query. He says, what is your view about having Men Commission of India on the lines of Women's Commission of India?
See, the problem is this, that the society right now doesn't recognizes that men is a victim. Right now, there is no recognition. Those who are facing cases, they know. We as a lawyers, we know. But still, there is a lot of ignorance because, Sunil ji, in the past, we have worked on lots of women-related cases. And the situation. So Sunil ji is the better person to answer this. Why we can't have Men Commission in India? Because we see women as a victim. The idea of the society is that woman is the victim. And husband, when we think about domestic violence, husband will beat woman blue and black and throw her out of the house. This is the image we have. That's why we can't have Men Commission in near future. I don't think we will have in near future.
Just since Nitish sir mentioned, I would just partly add to what Nitish sir has very rightly observed.
Yes.
Actually, Sanjay ji, see, it goes to the very conceptualization in which our penal system is conceptualized. And we know that woman is basically identified as a vulnerable category. And it flows from the constitution itself.
Yes.
And we have also seen that the parliament is generally oriented to devise special laws against women, because there is an entrenched scholarship which promotes this idea that patriarchy is at the root of every cause, is the root cause of every problem, right? So taking from there, it's a philosophical notion. It's still being investigated. It's not to say that there is a husband who may not be abused, who may not be beaten black and blue. There may be some instances like that, but the stigma is so high. But the societal stigma is perhaps so high for a male person to say that he was being abused by wife, and that we have still not reached at it. Forget about legal threshold. We have not reached at a societal threshold to cross it and understand it as a problem, right? So yes, maybe we are sitting here, we are well versed with certain ideas, so we can still talk about it. But if you go in the society, it is seen as that, yaar, what are you doing? ऐसा कुछ होता है क्या? नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. ये क्या बात है? तुमने भी एक लगानी थी उसको.
Perception, and I think there is more of a safety guidelines which we need in these cases rather than having a Men Commission. We should try
We should
to.
have guidelines.
The laws are good enough because they have stood the constitutional validation from the Honorable Supreme Court. Laws is not a problem, misuse is a problem. So to address this problem, there should be some guidelines. That's it. Lot of efforts have been made by the Honorable Supreme Court, and now these laws are not that frightening as it used to be 10 or 15 years back. And I feel that we are in the right direction, and we need guidelines. That's it. We
Okay.
don't need right now. We don't need the men commission. It's not a grave that grave.
That great.
That
Right, I think so. That sums up the query. Now I'm moving on to next query, sir. Mr. Sachin wants to know if the wife is well educated and have experience, and the brother is running a hospital and can employ her sister, still entitled for a maintenance.
See, if you can, the maintenance is depends upon the proof. If you have the evidence that the wife is working somewhere and earning something, the proof of earning is more important than the proof of working, because wife can say that she may be an intern there or she may be just visited there. So you need to have a proof of good proof, economic financial statements or something like this, so that you can avoid the maintenance if you want.
Right. So then there's a query by Pritika Sharma. She wants to know, does domestic expenses done by the wife will be called dowry? Is there any case to refer?
See, the thing is domestic expenses can take a color of dowry demand if she alleges in the complaint, but then she has to prove the harassment also. If she is able to prove the harassment, the expenses alone will not help her, but she has to prove the harassment which is done on a day-to-day basis. Now, there are two ways to do that. If the harassment is physical one, then medical can be done, complaint can be done. And if it is a mental one, then through independent witnesses, it can be proved. So you have to prove the harassment. Only dowry expenses or the day-to-day domestic expenses alone will not prove your case.
Fine. I think that covers a lot of questions, and Advocate Pawan has already said thanks to you, sir. He says noted. So there's a lot of queries which have been asked. There's one, I think, query coming in. Good evening. She's Kritika Su. She wants to know, while working on the cases, do you feel that our law or judicial system is more women-centric, while at times when men are at the victim too?
See, Kritika, the problem is this, that we have to be women centric, because laws are not women centric, but we have to there should be a balance between men and the women. Men obviously have more they are physically more strong, and the culture of India is like that: you leave your matrimonial home, you go to your leave your paternal home, go to their matrimonial home. There are a lot of issues how she will be treated, so she is more vulnerable, what I feel. So that's why there are laws. These things used to happen more and more. That's why we have laws. Now these things are more misused. Problem is this: law is okay. Law, there is no problem in the law, but there has to be guidelines to so that genuine cases, we need these laws for the genuine cases. Yes, there are genuine cases, even if they are 13% or maybe 20%. That doesn't mean we don't need this law. We need this law for the protection of the women. A lot of women are really suffering. I have seen that. So that for them it is helping. The question is why they are being misused. What is the reason they are being misused? Because it's easy to access. It's easy to put false allegation. But believe me that even if they are misused, the husband side can win with the obviously the evidence and everything. The process is not faulty at all. The only thing is that it is being misused, and sometimes counseling can help in this. So more and more counseling, mediation can help, what I feel. But still we cannot delete all these laws and then we say we need men centric laws or like this. We don't need that. We need only guidelines to make it proper. That's it.
Okay, right, sir. I think we are dealing with a very interesting topic here. And we are again a lot of queries coming here your way, sir. Okay, so now I'll take up Sanjay ji is saying that what about a full-fledged seminar, Sunil ji, on need for men commission? So my answer would be, Sanjay ji, may not be on men's commission, but we may have more on a more holistic understanding of law as per the need of the society. So we can have such seminars in future, no problem. So we welcome your suggestion. Then there's a query by Reena Vishnuji. I think he wants to know if any new incident happen, can court take case in during MCO? It need to wait till lockdown end.
See, right now there is facility. The Delhi Legal Service Authority or the Legal Service Authority of your state I think they are doing a very brilliant job. What I feel. Now they have opened a campaigns. There are a lot of campaigns which are going on in COVID times. They are sitting in open, meeting people who are facing domestic violence case. And I was also associated with the Delhi Legal Service Authority, and I feel very proud what the kind of work they are doing in these times. They are helping people, and for young students of this university, they can those who are graduating, they can also come forward to help women who are really facing these issues. The online process is there. Courts are open for these cases, and they can file a complaint in court through online mechanism. Email addresses are there. You have to check your notification in your district. You have to check that.
Right, sir. Thank you. I think so. That's a piece of advice for the students of law who are just at the threshold and they are joining us here also today. So I think they can go ahead and contribute and do their bit and learn also. Sir, there's a small attached query of Sanjay ji I might have missed. What is the time limit in DV and 498A cases he's asking?
See, the thing is that 498A and DV are now treated as continuous offences. Now, if she can show the continuity of these cases. Otherwise, 498A is 3 years, but normally court doesn't interfere unless there is a huge delay. Court doesn't interfere in quashing of these cases on the ground of limitation, because they see that women must have been taking efforts to join the husband or whatever. But if there is a huge delay, yes, quashing can be done in such cases.
Right, sir. So then one more quick question by one of our faculty members, Ma'am Dalian Deep, faculty with us. She wants to know, husband instituted the case of divorce on the ground of unsoundness of mind after 25 years of marriage, and they lived together for 22 years. What will be the fate of this case?
See, if you are taking a ground of unsoundness of mind, you have to have a good medical evidence. A good medical evidence will only help you to sail through this case. Just by alleging this, I don't think he will succeed. So it depends upon the evidence, what evidence he has about the mental unsoundness.
So, right. So, evidence is the key there, because unsoundness of mind has to be really proved before a court of law.
Right. Medical evidence, psychiatrist evidence, or reliable psychiatrist.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Before lodging 498...
your good name, please. I'm sorry to interrupt. Your good name,
this is Dr. Sarika here. This is Dr. Sarika.
Dr. Sarika, please go ahead.
Yeah. Is it necessary that before filing 498, the case should be sent to women's cell once, or can the FIR be filed directly without calling the in-laws side?
See, there is one guidelines in 498A case that once you file a complaint of 498A, the CAW cell of the concerned district refers the matter to mediation, because the guidelines are there. Because of the guidelines, it has to be referred to the mediation. Both parties are called, and settlement, if possible, takes place. Because a lot of cases, in my own experience, lot of cases got settled through mediation only before lodging an FIR. Because after lodging the FIR, you have to approach Honorable High Court. If the settlement takes place, you have to approach Honorable High Court for quashing of that FIR. It will be a very expensive effort for the litigating, and there should be an opportunity so that both parties can settle their matter before having a full criminal procedure to take place, because lodging of an FIR is a very serious thing, and it switches on the criminal proceedings. Once FIR is lodged, the criminal proceeding starts. So I think this is a very good safeguard, and it should be there.
No,
And it
suppose,
is compulsory there. Yes, it will be.
suppose if the thing was not taken to the women's cell and direct FIR is lodged, can it be one of the points for quashing in the High Court?
See, right now, if that is the thing, the court can ask for the status report of the case when you go for the quashing of the FIR. But normally, this thing happens, and they have to explain why the thing did not happen. But I don't think it can help you in quashing, because it's just a procedural irregularity, and because of that, I don't think High Court will quash it.
So then what can be the prayer for quashing in the High Court? Like 498 ka there is a good remedy that you can go to the High Court for quashing, but then what is the ground on which that case can stand there?
You have to see the case. There are certain grounds of quashing, like the vague allegation, general allegations, the family members which are implicated, the relatives. There is a very good Supreme Court judgment which I have forgot to mention. This Geeta Mehrotra versus. This is Geeta Mehrotra versus State of UP. This is a very good judgment on relatives who are getting implicated in the 498 case. This is a very good Supreme Court judgment. In every, quashing case, you will see this judgment. So you go through this judgment, and there are many ways it can be done. And one more judgment which is very important is Bhajan Lal versus State of Haryana, which says what court will consider during quashing. Your defense will not be taken care in the quashing. It's a very good judgment. You have to go through. You will see that on what ground you can go for quashing in this.
Thank you so much.
I think, Sarika ma'am, that will be answering the question. You may take note of the case which sir has referred. So I think that will be a good starting. Fine. So now we're moving on to the next query. This is by Ashish Ji. He's saying, sir, can there be strict penalty for women who are filing false cases, so that before filing them, they should think twice before entangling husbands and their families into false cases? Okay.
Ashish ji, I have already discussed that there should be a guidelines associated with the case, the false cases. There should be a strict guidelines in this. Yes, in that strict guideline, there should be a punishment related to false cases. Right now, we have a very weak law related to when someone files a false case. We have a very weak law. Once you get acquittal, you have to file a 340 application. Through that, you can invoke 211 IPC. Now that is dependent upon the magistrate. Magistrate say, go to your home, settle. Either you settle, go to your home. This is the attitude of magistrate these days in prosecuting false cases. So I don't think the current system is helping more on the men's side when it comes to false cases. We have a very limited option. And yes, you are right that these can be included in the guidelines. We need guidelines, as I said earlier.
Ashish, good observation, as already pointed out, and I think you must have taken note also that more of the guidelines is required, and in this regard. So now moving on to the next quick question. There's some disturbance. I request the guests, the participants to join to cancel out the background noise. You can just switch off your mic. Okay. So now Pritika Sharma wants to know, sir, what evidence will come under extramarital affairs? Hanging out in public will amount to extramarital affairs. When adultery is not a crime, can DV case be done based on adultery? Fine. Okay. I think, okay, you may proceed, sir.
Actually, this is a very factual question. It depends on the fact what kind of affair it is, because just hanging out, I don't think it's you will get divorce on that only. For adultery, there's very strict proof you need. Direct proof of adultery is unavailable. Only circumstantial proof is available. That means if a boy and a girl go go to a hotel at odd hours and you get a reservation, something like this, documents, some messages to indicate, then only adultery can be proved in court of law to get a divorce. Yes, only hanging out, I don't think it's a good proof for divorce, a good evidence for divorce.
Right. So evidence is
Hello,
the
good
key
evening,
there.
sir.
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Sanjay ji,
So this is Pawan Singh.
Acha, Pawan, please go ahead, Pawan, quickly.
Sir, I have another question. Suppose once a woman files Section 125 petition or the DVA petition or 498A case, so what could be any apt and effective remedy apart from Section 9 HMA? And how far should the husband wait before filing the contested divorce?
See, Advocate Pawan Preet, I just want to answer this, that I already answered this, that we need guidelines for the protection from the false cases right now. Now, if a woman files these cases 498A, DV and 125, there's no time limit. It depends upon the facts of the case, whether you have the evidence or not for filing divorce. It doesn't work tit for tat. It doesn't work. So you have to realize whether you have a case or not. If you don't have a case, if you don't have evidence, don't have independent witnesses in your case, then don't go to court. What I believe, you waste your 7-8 years for fighting for divorce, you will never get, because you don't have evidence. End of the day, you will be frustrated. Instead, go and contest these, defend these cases which she has filed if you believe they are false. So my advice is that there's no time limit as such. You can file before she files the cases, or you can file after she files. It depends upon the facts as well as the evidence you have. Again, for desertion, there is a 2-year time limit. That 2 years that is there. Otherwise, you can file anytime. That's not a...
Okay,
no
sir. Well appreciated, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Right,
Thank you.
Pawan,
Thank you.
thank you for your question. Now we go move on to a query by our student, sir. He says
Yes.
a solo son's wife is forcing him to stay away with parents-in-law. Sir, it will come under domestic violence by women?
Okay, so I think it is like the woman is saying that you stay away from your parents, go independent. I guess this is the query.
This is the query. Yes, that's the query.
Yes. So this is a good ground to get divorce, but I don't think it is under the domestic violence or any other law. It is a good ground to get divorce if there are huge number
And
of...
I think there's a judgment also by Supreme Court.
there's a recent judgment on
There's
this.
a recent judgment by Supreme Court on this.
Yes.
Getting the name, but I think later on we can provide it.
Yes, you can Google it. This is
And on this court has said that if she forces you, it's a very valid ground. It's a very valid ground for separation.
Right.
Okay. So now moving
Yes,
on
sir.
to...
One question. Can DV be filed in 15 days of marriage? DV and maintenance can be filed in 15 days of marriage?
They can be filed at any point of time once the domestic violence has occurred and you have experienced domestic violence, financial abuse, or the physical abuse. It can be filed there, and then you can get quick orders from the court, interim orders from the court, like protection orders you can get, and the anti-eviction order, like injunction, so that they don't remove you from the house. It can be filed at in 15 days. There's no limit.
Right. So I think that's the key takeaway, that yes, whenever any transgression happens, right, the law can be summoned and the remedy may be summoned, and we just need to approach appropriately under the law. So that is the key takeaway. And then moving on quickly to the next query by Behar Global. I believe that's an agency, because anyhow, the query is, sir, does audio recording of spouse indulging in adultery and hotel register is enough evidence for divorce?
See, we have to see there is one thing which is also the admissibility of these records. Now, can you summon the hotel owner to prove the register? If you can, if he comes. And secondly, the recording, if you have hacked the phone, then you only committed the offense under the IT Act. You have to prove the authenticity of these things. before the court, and it's very difficult to prove. If you call the owner of the hotel to testify, suppose they have used an app, you can call the app owner to testify before the court, because that document has to be proved as per law. If they are not proved as per the law, then they are inadmissible in evidence. You have to call the author, that who has generated that document. You have to call them. If they come, it's good for you.
Right. Then there is a question from Sanjay ji. He is saying that some ladies and men waiting divorce on matrimonial sites, is it legal? I believe the appropriate forum for divorce remains the courts of law.
Obviously.
So I don't know that if matrimonial sites can really justify that. So it rather has
I don't know
any.
what sites he's talking about. I've never seen these sites.
हाँ संजय जी थोड़ा सा क्लैरिटी नहीं है क्वेश्चन में, बट फिर भी हम ये कहते हैं कि अप्रोप्रिएट फॉर्म जो होता है वो लीगल फॉर्म में ही जाएगा.
Degree of divorce is important. Only the sites may be for counseling purpose. That is a separate.
Right. ठीक है. Okay. Then further he is saying, can judge order maintenance amount more than asked by the lady? What is the maximum maintenance can be awarded? I think sir can answer over there this particular matter.
Yes. So regarding maintenance thing, I wanted to cover this also. So the maintenance, there is no straight jacket formula for maintenance. The maintenance is very random, because the problem is that both husband and wife suppresses their income. Mainly the husband side suppress their income, real income, and it's very difficult for the courts to estimate what the husband earns. And through guesswork, through knowing the lifestyle, then there are indirect ways. The affidavit he has filed, or the wife who has submitted some proof of the husband income, are the basis of ascertaining maintenance. Normally, court ascertain maintenance in his own discretion. Suppose he says that 20,000 husband earns through all the relevant material, and 1/3 is the amount of maintenance normally court fixes for the wife, and if there is a child, then there can be more. But then again, there is no straight jacket formula. I use this formula.
And I think Nitish sir, as depending upon the economic status of the party, if it changes, then it may be further modified over a fresh application.
We have already discussed the modification thing.
Right, sir. Done. Cool. So then quickly, there are some, we'll be able to maybe 5-7 minutes more, then we'll have to close in. I think then we have a query coming again from Pritika Sharma. She says, if a woman attempts to suicide and gets saved, what legal action can be taken against her? Before attempting suicide, she sent WhatsApp message to her in-laws. Okay.
See, I think there is no, right now, the legal action taken against that woman. I don't think police takes any action these days.
Police doesn't take these.
Rather, they will send you to the counseling center for counseling or something like this. They will not register a case in such scenario. Practically, they cannot.
Okay, so I am tagging another question by the same participant. She's saying, does working wife gets maintenance?
See, this is a very interesting question, and I had made a video on my channel on this, if you have seen. The thing is this, that working women can get maintenance if the husband is earning way more than the wife. Suppose the wife is earning 10,000 and husband is earning 2 lakhs. Then the court can fix a maintenance according to the standard of the living of the husband. Husband has to provide the same living standard as per the Supreme Court judgment. It doesn't mean that wife should live as a bare necessity, or neither it can be a luxury for the wife. So it has to be as per the standard she enjoys while living with the husband.
So I think that aptly answers your query. Now we're moving again to the Sachin Sharma's query. He says, any cases after 498A quashed in High Court and the wife found guilty and still returned to matrimonial house, what cases can husband file against wife rather than quashing?
See, this is a very hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
So, I have my own practical experience. I have seen that we have seen that husband and wife resolve their differences and wife comes back to the matrimonial house, they can go for a joint quashing. Now, my experience is that when I went to the High Court, court has to see the bona fides, that whether they are living together uh, correctly or not, whether there is some domestic violence which is taking place or not. So, no, normally court will take 3 or 4 months to quash that case. Normally, it happens in one hearing or two hearings, but it will take longer if you go for a quashing when you are living together. So, after 498 a case, there's one thing. Other is that when you want to apply for divorce, then also you can go for quashing if you have resolved your disputes. So I think this answers his question. These are the practical situations which happen. Other things, I've never faced that.
Right. So facts matter for the case, and a lot of evidence is going to be circumstantial wherever that evidence when we are talking about. As sir has already pointed out that in most of the cases of adultery, like you, direct evidence is near to impossible. Then Sandesh, as a quick question, in most of the time, without proving the domestic violence, there will be some amount awarded in lower court. So what is your thought on this?
Some amount means in maintenance or alimony. What? It's not clear.
It's not clear. I think perhaps maybe what he wants to know is, if what I gather from his query, Sandesh, is that that maybe when domestic violence is reported, if it is reported under DV Act, then I think the remedies are there in the manner of residential orders. He's saying maintenance.
See, maintenance is awarded by the court when wife is unable to maintain herself. This is the common principle on which the courts work.
And,
now
and the remedies under 125 CRPC.
See, she can go for Domestic Violence Act parallelly under the 120. I think this is the question. Parallelly under the 120. Yeah, there is one Supreme Court judgment on this, that if there are two maintenance orders, then the wife has to, the husband has to comply to one which is higher, right? But in Domestic Violence Act, there are multiple heads. Multiple heads. If you can see the domestic violence, there are residential rent like this, compensation orders. Then there are maintenance orders.
Protection orders.
Monetary compensation as well as maintenance. So monetary compensation comes under a different head. There is one judgment on this also. I think I have made the video and wrote an article on this also. So I think the multiple heads are there. Only the maintenance head will be, pay one. But the compensation part you have to pay separately in such cases.
Right, sir. Thank you. So now we are coming to the last question of our session for the day by Tanmay. What are the basic evidence that can prove DV?
What are the basic
evidence that can prove DV? Again, I think will be based on fact.
I don't want to repeat it. Again, there should be an evidence of physical violence or mental abuse and economic abuse. There should be an evidence for that. Physical, you can have medical, mental proof ke liye you can have independent witnesses, verbal abuse, who has heard verbal abuse, who has seen fighting, even video recording can be used. And for economic offenses, you have to prove that the wife is has sufficient means to earn. So these are the evidences which you need in domestic violence case.
Right. So I think with this, a long list of queries and very interesting.
I have a good following and they ask many questions. I know that. And thank you very much for joining this on my humble request. And so many people came.
No, it's a pleasure, sir. It's a pleasure. And we were more than happy to have you as an esteemed guest for the day. And maybe in future, when the lockdown is lifted and all, maybe face-to-face in a physical scenario, we'll again be able to interact and you may take out time to visit Punjab. And anyhow, on behalf of the School of Law, W Professional University, Punjab, I again extend a very heartfelt thanks to our esteemed guest of the day, Shri Nitish ji, as the participants and the students who are now getting connected with him, they are aware about his channel. And they can follow him. They can follow his research work, and he is taking care. He will take care of all your queries, especially in the matter which he is dealing and arguing in the superior courts of India on a daily basis. And I think the key takeaways remain that the articulation of the pleadings before the court should be very clear, and if we have to seek relief, then there should be proper evidence, and we should have the means to prove it if we have suffered something. Because in the absence of that, all of us know that the law will base its decisions on the statements, on the evidence which is deposited before the court, which is tendered to the court. So a holistic view court can only take, and the justice can only be delivered if timely action is taken. There were some queries which also pointed out that what is the time period. So there is no correct time period. The correct time period is only when you are suffering. The law is there. You take your call. You go ahead, file a complaint, or take the recourse to the law. And I think law is there to help you.
I think that early is better. Delay will help the other party.
Exactly. So very rightly is pointed out by our sir, Nitish ji. Thank you so much once again, everyone. And I think some key judgments were also pointed out by you, sir.
Yes.
Later on, maybe I can take a summary of that to share with the students.
Yeah, I can provide the link.
So that's a lovely query. Once again, big thank you from School of Law, lovely professional university, to Nitish sir and to all the participants. And
thank you very much.
And we hope in future we again reconnect for more such informative sessions.
Sure.
Thank you, Nitish ji. Thank you. Signing off.
Thank you.
Okay.